So the interesting thing about beliefs is that we have them and, you know, they get us somewhere, right? And if it's a growth mindset or a growth belief, let's use mindset and belief interchangeably here. If it's a growth mindset, it got us to a certain point. And then sometimes what happens is that way of looking at the world, right? That mindset, that belief gets us to that place, but it's actually not the thing that gets us to the next level. And you'll hear people say things like, what got you here won't get you there. Um, Especially people who are like operating at, elite levels of whatever, name the occupation, sports, music, business, whatever. Um, there was all this stuff you were doing to get to this level, but to get to the next level, it's not more of that stuff. It's actually something totally different or some other way of relating to that stuff that gets you to the next level. So, um, is there an example? An example in my life is I always I started getting very serious about the guitar late in life, comparatively to a lot of people. And so, in order to catch up, which by the way is a belief, which I don't believe in anymore, um, but we will now go down that little detour. In order to uh, hang, let's put it that way, in order to hang with the people I was with, because I basically got into music school, but didn't really have any business being there. Like I was not as far along as I should have been. I had to practice like a ridiculous amount of hours a day. Like on a stopwatch, I practiced 10 hours a day in addition to going to class. So that wasn't like class wasn't in there. Like on a stopwatch, I was logging 10 hours of practice a day. And outside of that, going to class, doing my homework. So consequently, I slept like 2 or 3 hours a night. Bad idea. Anyway, I did get pretty good really fast, but I consequently can't remember any of that time in my life. But anyway, the point is like, so so my mindset was like lots of hours of practice equals lots of uh, forward progress. Now, no person who plays an instrument is going to sit here and tell you that that's not true, right? That is true. Like you actually have to put hours into your instrument. But the point is, at a certain point, I became more, and later on in life, that was basically how I operated. And then later on in life, as I got better, I started focusing on that, on like the hours, and that just wasn't working. Like it just wasn't working. I wasn't making the kind of progress that equated to the amount of hours that I was putting in. It was like I was putting in all these hours, but I wasn't getting this progress. And it was frustrating and tiresome and baffling. And until I started exploring Zen Buddhism, and in my conversations with my Zen teacher, she offered me a different mindset, which was, what if you, instead of focusing on the amount of time you're playing and time spent in the practice room, you focus on the amount of presence you have when you're practicing. This is an example of a mindset that was a totally different mindset. Don't count hours or minutes, count presence. Are you present? How present are you? How, able to focus and concentrate and be right there, not everywhere else, not, oh, I've got 20 more minutes left, or if is this really going to be the thing that gets me to become the great player I want to be? Like, shut all that off and just be present. And so I said, okay, she's an amazing person. I'll try this out. I'll try on this different mindset. And so I stopped counting hours and minutes, and I started just focusing on every time I walked into this room, or anywhere else I was practicing, being totally present. And that would mean I'd have to have a notebook near me where I'd write down everything I was worried about and everything I was thinking about and all the mind chatter. And if something came up while I was practicing, I wrote it down just to get it out and get it away from me and just be focused on that particular thing. And I can sit here and look you in the eye and tell you I made more progress once I did that than I had in probably the previous 5 years. And I was practicing less. And not only was I practicing less, in addition to practicing less, I was actually enjoying my practice. I came out of all my practice sessions refreshed and excited and wanting to do more time, or to spend more time in my practice room. The old way of just counting minutes and hours and, trying to check off things off this list of things I should be able to do was like exhausting. I had to use a lot of willpower to get myself to do that. I didn't come away feeling excited. I came away just with a giant list of like other things I had to do. So that's an example of a shift in mindset that occurred after I had reached a certain level.